G'day guys, it's Jose here with a bit of extra chill time with Jose. So what I'm going to discuss today is basically my issues with the Mythic Plus plug scene at the moment. And I do a lot of plug viewer runs for Mythic Plus, and I've been noticing a lot of these players that come into my runs complaining about the Mythic plug scene in general. And what's been occurring is that some of these players who play Warlocks, for example, aren't picked up purely because of their class, and some of these pugs are trying to create meta groups and for like 10 or 5 keys, which is so confusing to me because you don't need the meta to do those keys anymore. Like, you can actually do it with any sort of class. So let's start with the first things first, okay? The first things first is the issues I have is the meta. The meta is obviously for certain dungeons free BM hunters and a tank and a healer, for pretty much the reason that BM hunters are very, very good and do a lot of DPS, a lot of sustained AoE DPS as well, and burst if they need to as well. They're the ultimate AoE class at the moment. They're much better than demon hunters and other classes like that. Like, they're far beyond the best, okay? And this is the annoying part, when the people's doing a 10 or a 5, wanting to get, those BM hunters and demon hunters. And I'm sitting there going like, do you know that if the demon hunter is the right traits? Do you even know the BM hunters are the right traits? Like, do you know that these people who make the meta for MDR, which is speed running, it isn't for doing the key in time. It is for speed running the key, okay? To do it the quickest that they can do. I'm very sure most people in the pug scene aren't concerned with how quick you do the key. Okay, they're concerned with getting it done in time at least. And having free BM hunters doesn't necessarily mean your key will be done in time, especially if the players don't know the mechanics. And just because the meta is the meta doesn't mean you actually have to play that way unless you're competing in high skill esports. If you're like, Method, if you're like, the X-Method teams, no longer Method, of course, you probably want to be on those top end. You want to go to BM Hunter, Demon Hunter. But if you're Joe Blow doing a 15, your weekly 15, you don't need to be super, super skilled to do it, okay? You can be on the Warlock, you can be on the Mage, you can be on the classes that are non-meta, and still be able to complete a key on time. You do realize that these guys who are top tier MDI guys can do, like, dungeons like a Talazar in 10 minutes, okay? So you're telling me, like, 15 minutes, well, not doing it on time, is the difference between, having a Warlock instead of a Hunter. I'm very sure if you put a Warlock into some of those groups, you probably have, like, basically a 2 to 3 minute difference, okay? Maybe even less. And, like, a Warlock actually has some decent utility, but not as much as utility as other classes. Like, Warlocks are very, very good single target DPS. Like, if you know what the classes can bring, and what DPS they can bring, you might pick up the right one, okay? You might pick up a good Warlock. Like, some of my Mythic Plus runs, Warlocks have been the top damage. Is either Destro or Demo. Of course not Affliction, because Affliction's really, really bad spot at the moment. But it's like, guys, like, some of these classes, they aren't actually useless, okay? You can actually bring them into your groups. You can't, like, if you bring in free BM hunters and they don't know the mechanics, then your key's going to blow out purely because you brought in players that don't know the mechanics, okay? The meta is the meta because 5 players know how to play properly and professionally, and I've probably done this a million of times as practice, okay? To make sure to get the pools right, make sure everything is right, and make sure the execution is right as well, and their cooldowns line up, okay? It's not because they just are, free BM hunters, easy, slap it on, piece of cake. You don't see the actual work that they do in the background, okay? Next up is going to be RaiderIO. Okay, RaiderIO, I know everyone complains about it. It's unfair to have a score. It's there to measure your experience of Mythic Plus, okay? But the thing is, people don't use it properly. People just see a score, be like, you don't have 1.5k AO, instant decline. And they don't look at the dungeon, okay? Like, some guys might be wanting just loot from that dungeon. They Mythic Raid all day. Why would they need any loot from Mythic Plus? But seemingly so, there's some good trinkets in Mythic Plus that they need. Like, and that's why they have the low RaiderIO. They don't need to do Temple of Serapis or fucking Waycrest Manor. They don't need those trinkets. They don't need any loot from there. They get it from their Mythic Raid already. And you got people here, like, declining because they have a 700 IO score because they have, let's say 475 eye level and 500 IO score, and they decline it because that's like, dude, man, like, just dig a little bit deeper, okay? Let's just see, this guy has 582 IO score, but he's only done 3 dungeons and he's done 17s in time. And like, people decline it based on the score. It's like, dude, man, like, if they can do 17s on time on any FX, like, other than, of course, the easy fixes, because they've got all easy fixes, I think you might want to take that guy, okay? Because I've had a lot of people who've done 600, 700 IO and have done really good DPS, and they've been Mythic Raiders, okay? I know Mythic Plus and Mythic Rating is kind of different in a way that, you're more reliant on 5 people than 20, but it's not that different to cause you to fail a 15, okay? 15 or 10, okay? Or even a 5. It's not that much of a difference. 20s and above, yeah, I can give you a point there, but not anything below 15, okay? So guys, if you're doing a 15 or 16 for your weekly, you don't need to like not just check of course check IO for the experience, but don't decline it because they have a 500 IO score, okay? Like dig in a bit deeper. Obviously, that's all I want to do, guys. So dig in a bit deeper, check their logs. Don't rely on the score. It's like gear score back in the older days where people use gear score rather than actual progression or actual logs, which you could actually gotten with an extra bit of effort. Now, last but not least is the last part, which is basically more on tanks than anything else, is the pathing of the dungeon. Guys, if you guys know the pathing of the dungeon of a rough outset, please help people out and teach them on it. If you got a different path, maybe show them a different path, okay? Like, help these guys out. Like, there's a lot of tanks in here that don't want to tank Mythic Plus because people, DPS shout at them and rage at them for not doing things exactly what they want them to do, okay? So, like, this might require you getting on Discord and trying to help out these tanks out so that they can do better pathing and that they know the pathing in the dungeon. And essentially, in the future, there'll be more tanks in the actual community wanting to do 15s and 16s rather than none of them because they don't want to get yelled at over and over again and just do it with their friends. So, if you want to grow a Mythic Plug scene, you got to make sure that you're actually nice to your tanks once in a while. I tank a lot, and I took a lot of advice from pathing from a lot of different people. Like, some guys being in the 4K IO mark and stuff like that, that taught me a lot of better routes I can do and all the snapping points as well as a tank. And, I try to get better every single time, like, as a tank, trying to improve, trying to get a lot better and taking everyone's advice regarding it, what I'm doing essentially and how I explain it to people. And a lot of people gotta realize, when they're in the Mythic Plus, they are there to teach people, okay, on what to do. And also, another, to really join up this third point as well, is that you succeed and fail at the dungeon based on your performance, okay, based on the team's performance. Not based on your individual performance, your team's performance. Because you could have people doing 50k DPS and you could succeed because your teamwork was really, really good and you didn't die to dumb mechanics and your pools were very, very good and coordinated. Or you can have someone doing like 80k DPS and realistically what happened is that that person didn't really, like, even though he did 6k DPS, the group was suffering from it because he was just essentially, let's just say padding or pulling extra mobs at random and stuff like that. It's kind of more of a team effort where you guys succeed or fail. So you got to make sure that you're putting your team first and not back-chatting them after every pull. Like, every second that's not in combat and people are bickering is potentially a second wasted. Also, last part to really add on to the RaiderIO part, just because I miss it. That's going to be it for today, guys. Just remember, guys, 3 simple tips. You dive deep with RaiderIO. Don't think the meta is essentially applicable to every single run that you do. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you don't need the meta. And lastly, teach the people how to run Mythic Plus, okay? Give everyone a lesson on how to do Mythic Plus. Not everyone's going to know everything that you know. You got to actually go out to people and teach them. And then basically what will happen is that you won't be moaning that there's no tanks or no healers on at a time. You have a lot of tanks and healers on at a time, and potentially more tanks and healers that want to do Mythic Pluses with you, okay? I have about easily 20 healers and about 10 tanks I can really call upon to do Mythic Pluses because I'm not an arsehole. And that's what you guys got to learn to be if you want the Mythic Plus scene to be a lot better in the pug scenario, is that don't be an arsehole. Otherwise, you're going to have little cliques of groups and there'll be no real pug scene, essentially. So thank you guys for listening to me. I'm Jose. Subscribe below if you enjoyed my videos and have a great day. See you guys later. Peace out. Bye.